welcome to the next episode of 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim spoiler playthrough. I am Hemborg Chariot, and I'm here with my best friend, Mirth Mauser.
Hello, hello, glad to be back. Very excited to be back. We're almost through the sections that we had to re-record for, and then we can finally get to, I say new content, but I mean, this is a spoiler playthrough.
Yeah.
Still.
So, first video of this recording session, we have a destruction battle. This time it is episode 2 for Beginning of the End. Let's get into it.
This is when they start, I say introducing side characters, but I mean, we've got 13 main characters. No one's really a side character, but...
Let's get in.
We get off, I could say, box protagonists.
432. I love how, despite how long the levels feel, canonically they only take place in 2 minutes of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of storytelling in the time frame itself. As the story kind of unfolds, that they can only be in their Sentinels for a few minutes. The actual chain of events with it, listing the hour and the minute, really backs it up, and it already gets mind wandering. Like, how are they gonna do this? They can only be in there for a few minutes. They need to recharge. They need to go back in. Is like to keep fighting, and they just have to do that again and again and again, and yeah, they're at their limit here.
It is honestly pretty incredible what they managed to do.
Oh yeah, I got in this robot and...
Oh, good. Looks like you're okay.
Kurabe-kun?
Already setting up.
Everything you said came true.
I like how they're setting up the expectation that Kurabe and Fuyusaka are sort of romantically coded in that they're
I picked that up pretty quickly.
They're the big two poster characters of the game. They're the first two protagonists that you get to play as. They're the first two in the destruction battles. But they're actually not. Or at least not the current versions.
Yeah, not these versions anyway.
Which is good, because they're two of the more boring characters. At least of the current versions. Current Juro is...
I would say at least Juro's story generally holds him up. Iori's less so. I was going to mention that they're already setting up right here with, Iori saying I got in the robot, and she's already reacting to Juro being here again, already showing that piloting the Sentinel is kind of messing with her mind a bit, because it's messing with all their minds a bit.
We got kaiju everywhere, right?
I think I prefer my kaiju to stay on the silver screen. Looks like there's more on the way. Can you get your Sentinel up?
I'll try, but... I think it might be broken in some places.
You're in a second-generation Sentinel. It weighs around 2,200 tons.
So here we're setting up that there are multiple generations of Sentinels, which is interesting. I feel like, story-wise, it doesn't actually end up getting that much focus.
Not too much.
But in the gameplay, you should know at this point, but some people didn't play the game, they just watched the cutscenes. So in the gameplay, there are 4 generations of Sentinels, and each of them have different, specialties. So the second generations are very much all-rounders, with an emphasis on deploying extra units to help them, such as decoys or sentry guns, except sentry guns are terrible now.
Rip sentry guns.
They nerfed them way too hard with the update.
With that kind of weight, it can end up crushing its own components if it collapses.
This big robot looks so tough. Is it really that useless if it falls over?
Don't let your guard down. We have another wave of D-forces inbound.
You keep talking about them like that. What are these D-forces?
Daimos.
Questions.
They're the kaiju. That's them. They're trying to reach the mainframe in the depths below.
The mainframe? What does that mean?
That's why they attack every terminal that has a connection to it. If they manage to reach the mainframe, this city will be wiped out.
I think the writing in this game is incredibly strong because they use a lot of very specific language to set the seeds that we do not understand everything at play here, and there's more to this than meets the eye. They really masterfully use words like sectors, mainframe, and all of that shit to lay the hints that this isn't just your regular Tokyo. There's not just time travel, they're constantly referring to years as sectors. And I think it really helps to add the hints needed to figure out, oh wait, time travel isn't real, what the fuck? And other shit like that.
And a lot of that specifically comes down to the strength of the localization, because keep in mind, English and Japanese are extremely different languages. There is no such thing as a one-to-one with how different the languages are. So they have to figure, not only understand and figure out all these terminologies and ideas, they have to translate them in a way that it's seamless for an English-speaking audience to keep up. So they had to find all of these simple yet recognizable terms that that sounds natural in the writing. So, as you said, mainframe, kaiju, terminals. It's just that what are sci-fi ideas that we can use in English to keep up with easily. And how do you do that? How do you get so many ways to describe these very specific things in a language where that is so different from the original, and it's so easy to keep up with? How do you do that?
You do it by sacrificing virgins.
A lot of them. A lot of them.
I just realized this, and I'd like to point it out as a nice aesthetic detail. You'll notice that the city has a mild sort of V-sync braking effect, where everything's shivering a little bit as if it was on a TV. And there's a vignette around the outside as well. That looks very good, and it's very interesting as a little bit of thematic foreshadowing when you realize that they are literally inside a video game that they are trying to escape.
Pretty much.
It's fucking great. There's so much attention to detail in this game, it's amazing.
But we can't stay on the defensive forever. With so few of us, we could never sustain it. Instead, we have to rely on the terminal's internal defenses, a specialized program. That puts up an impenetrable shield around the area. The D-forces would be completely locked out.
That's gotta be the Aegis system Miss Morimura was talking about. But is it even safe to use?
The Aegis system? Oh my god, they said the name of the game. Also, why the fuck does the school nurse know about this? What? So much intrigue opens up in the opening few hours of this game.
That was drugging Juro, by the way.
We're only using it to buy time.
How do we activate it?
Whichever one of you is closest, move to the D-Force's invasion point.
Invasion point? You mean where the kaiju are all trying to get to?
Yes. The terminal sits directly below that point.
Again, it's beneficial to have a character that, doesn't understand quite all of this, naturally asking these questions.
I love how they changed the adaptive music slightly during these tutorial waves, so that they don't start us until the enemies actually appear, even though the level has technically started. Let's put
They both have Gen 2 Sentinels, right?
Yes, Juro and Iori both have Generation 2s.
Moving out.
You made it. That's where you send the signal to the terminal 300 meters underground. Either of your access IDs should be capable of activating it.
And that'll fix it? That's enough to get rid of all the kaiju?
No, it won't be that simple. The defense systems have a long startup. We'll need to buy enough time for Aegis to initialize.
A lot of this dialogue is mostly focusing on tutorializing the game aspect of this so far, so there's a little less to dig into.
Yeah, it's literally describing the gameplay.
That being said, I do think it does a very good job of it.
Yeah, especially with Goda's delivery here. You know, he's like very much selling that being almost kind of a seasoned commander, and just on another level with how familiar he is with everything.
And as we'll see throughout the story, this is definitely far from his first rodeo. He's commanded multiple fights up to this point.
Yep.
Until it activates, our mission is to keep the D-forces away from the terminal. We'll try.
Warning. Daimos signatures identified. Enemy in range. Preparing to intercept. Initiating tactical analysis.
Who's that voice? Is
That
that
sounds-
Miyuki Inaba?
Yeah, I think that is her voice. I was gonna say, that sounds like Cassandra Lee Morris, so I think that is Miyuki Inaba. The idea is that she's...
Or at least
Or at
the robot version of her.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got the robotic version of themselves talking to them. So it only makes sense that Miyuki Inaba, as the quote-unquote missing participant, the missing Sentinel number 18, she's still helping them all along as sort of the voice narrating the game.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
really
kind of-
cool detail I hadn't noticed before.
she's essentially the voice of the mainframe here.
And does a really good job of it.
Because that's what I mean, her voice cannot hide from me. I recognize Cassandra Lee Morris's voice anywhere.
I have to focus.
Okay, let's do shit.
Do
Let's
heavy
place a
knuckles.
sentry gun and see how shit they are.
Oh no.
Lend us a hand.
Let's see just how bad it is. I mean, I used a bunch of them, so... I do not know how nerfed they are. Yeah, I think that's a good call, since you already have the sentry gun taking care of that one. And then as the molar gets closer, you can punch it.
Got it.
That works.
They're onto me. No.
Enemy threat range.
Okay.
I think they're surprisingly not shit during the story. But that is an emphasis on not shit and not good. They are definitely not the same.
Yeah. I mean, I used them in a pinch when I ran out of AP, but I mean, they were not my first choice as I went on.
Just watch. That hit. They're down.
Look at... They can't even kill the workers in
Right?
one hit. Fucking hell.
Oh, that's lame.
The fly kaiju, and they still can't kill them in one hit. Granted, these are unupdated, but like, still... Like, sorry, unupgraded.
Unupgraded, yeah.
Still,
Also,
that is bad.
while we can comment, now that we're in comment and I can comment on it, notice how, you know, the buildings of it is like, go up in flames and you actually see destruction of the city where you fight. Like,
I beat the kaiju.
you actually see the, you actually get background destruction that reflects your actions in battle, and I loved that. It's a small little thing, but it's like, yeah, there are people all around you running around, so be careful which buildings you punch.
On top of that, you can see the buildings rise as you hover over them, which is a cool detail and looks especially good in 4K. But one thing I have to say is that I kind of wish there was more consequences for some of your moves destroying buildings.
Yeah, there's
'Cause-
basically no consequences.
Stuff like Super Large Missile should be nuking the city, and it just doesn't.
Okay. Aegis activation confirmed. This area is now protected. Are your Sentinels still operational?
Mine's doing okay.
I can still fight.
I guess now that we're on, since you brought up
Who's
Miyuki
there?
Naba, kind of.
Are you fighting?
I guess I'll bring it up later.
Sorry,
We
continue. We'll do this in a minute.
Fine. Okay, I guess on that subject, kind of you could view the actual gameplay layout as what she's seen. Because remember, she's off in space looking at all the everyone down below through the AI, through the eyes of a literal AI. So probably the actual gameplay segments is what she's literally seen.
That is a really good point. There is this really interesting dynamic of Miyuki Inaba, otherwise known as the Tomi Kisaragi of the previous loop, who has to help these people and watch them from a distance, incapable of communication for significant portions of the game. It's really fascinating, as she acts as the system voice for the total game.
I hadn't even considered that the actual layout of this could literally be how she sees it all. Yeah, that's why it has such a grid-based and kind of computerized layout, because she's an AI. This is probably how she's looking upon it all. That's fascinating.
So, here we have Takatoshi Hijiyama, who sure is a character.
A character I like very much. Now, admittedly, when I was first playing, I was like, I liked him fine enough. I wasn't thinking too much on me. I wasn't thinking too much on him. But it's as I went through the game that I really started to appreciate him on a whole different level. And I guess when we hear a few more lines, I can go into his voice actor. His voice actor, this one is one I actually know. This is Kaiji Tang, who you may know as the voice of Munehisa Iwai from Persona 5, aka probably the best confidant in any game in that franchise that's not a party member. It's a pretty great confidant.
It's a must-play, honestly, and it's kind of sad that it's locked behind rank 4 guts before you can even start it, because it's so good.
Also the voice of Ichiban from Yakuza Like a Dragon, the main character.
Ooh, nice. He definitely has the type for it. Iwai's a Yakuza, Ichiban's a Yakuza, Takatoshi is a delinquent, basically, an army boy. He's very much got a type that he voices. And Iwai is very much mine. Oh my god, Iwai is... he is... a specimen, let's put it that way.
But yes, more lines from Takatoshi.
You're in a Sentinel. You're going to tell me who you are, now. I believe
Notice
that's
how
Sentinel
Godo
number 12,
doesn't know him.
Okino's machine.
Okino's machine.
I'm Takatoshi Hijiyama, and this is my Sentinel.
And Hijiyama insisting it's his.
I love that declaration.
Takatoshi Hijiyama. You were with Okino-kun before. I've come to save the human race. Leave this region to me.
He cut off his comms. I found his Sentinel's location, but it's a ways from your position.
He's not gonna try taking them all on by himself, is he?
And we're getting a good look into his personality before we've even properly met him.
Yeah, it's a simple thing, but I love that he already sounds like, I'm a soldier on the front lines. It's like I am going to fulfill my duty to the very end. You can hear that in the way I've come to save the human race. This is my Sentinel. He makes it very clear what he's here for right away.
Leave this region to me, and he's somewhat standoffish and just all business all the time. It's very, very interesting.
I'll move to rendezvous. You two should keep going towards the next combat zone.
They really do manage to characterize everyone effortlessly in this game. And so quickly. We already have a sense of who Hijiyama is, and we haven't even gotten to his prologue yet.
Not at all. And man, all their interruptions are so strong, and it's something you don't even think about when you're first playing it. You don't think about what you're learning until you really reflect on it.
Oh, wait!
And that's good. That's really good writing.
Which way is the next zone?
This way. Follow me.
We made it.
Takatoshi Hijiyama's story is now available, and with that we are going to end the video. Do we have any final thoughts on that battle we just witnessed?
The battle itself, no. Final thoughts on what's to come? We'll get there.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna cut it here then. We'll catch you in the next episode, which we're about to start recording.